So in this video, for this past week's rotation, there's actually 6 of the new releases from this past year in 2020, and a few classics, and I guess cheap classics at this point, to me anyways, that all made up part of my weekly rotation. It's week number 42. Stay tuned. So starting off on Sunday, this is the hype train. When it was announced, when it was coming out, and it's still kind of the hype train because I feel like a lot of it's warranted. Is it the best release of the year? That's arguable. Some will say yes. Me, nah, there's one I like a bit more. There's actually 2 I like a bit more from the year, but I do think it is a great release for the line nonetheless. Acqua di Gio Profondo. Yeah, the hype's real on this one. I gotta say, I do enjoy it. It's very good. It's Acqua di Gio in its bluest form. They did well by going with a blue bottle. It's a blue fragrance. Acqua di Gio Absolute is a blue fragrance as well. Some would argue the original Acqua di Gio is already a blue fragrance, but it's just a fresh, iconic DNA. Compliment getter, hot weather. This fits all of that, but it performs. It's got the level of performance you would expect for what you're going to pay, because it is a higher end designer as far as the price point, it being an Armani fragrance. And does it smell natural? No, because there's some new aroma chemical in there called Aquazone. It's got its share of synthetics, but it is very, very pleasant. And like I said, performance is great on it. It's an 8+ hour fragrance on my skin. From what I can tell, a lot of people are having similar experiences with longevity. Projection is in that moderate to above moderate, above average range. For the first couple of hours, it definitely does put out. You do have a pretty good scent trail going for several hours. It's just an all-around good release, and it's a good grab-and-go fragrance like the line has been known for since its inception back in the 90s. And that was Acqua di Gio Profondo. And then when I got out the shower that night, it was time for a shave. So with the aftershave I went with was a classic vintage Nautica, old school. This actually is not spoiled at all. The top note on the fragrance is spoiled a little bit, but the heart and the dry down are perfectly fine. Whereas with this, being alcohol dominant, you would think this would have spoiled even faster, but no, this really good stuff. If you like the smell of Nautica, especially the vintage version, the aftershave is fantastic. Very masculine, very powerful, especially if you like an alcohol-based aftershave and you like that sting, that little bit of burn after a good shave. Definitely got some good stuff. And out the shower that night after a good shave, classic vintage Nautica aftershave. Moving into Monday, I actually picked this up from our friends over at 7fragrance.com. Of course, I'll have their information down below in the description if you want to check them out. They have some good prices on certain fragrances. On some, their prices aren't where they should be, but they do have a lot of great cheapies like Roberto Cavalli Uomo Silver Essence, for example. Their prices are very competitive on this one. Definitely check them out if you're interested in getting fragrances like this or some other designers that are available as well. I gotta tell you, this is a damn good fragrance. This is most likely gonna make my cheapie fall list. I did just recently release my designer list for fall. I'll actually put that video right there if you guys want to check that out. This falls into the cheapie category for its price bracket for sure. I was originally thinking about putting Uomo, the original. This kind of narrowly beats it out. They're both fantastic fragrances, but if I love iris, and this is iris, well, orris, the root of the iris flower, and violet leaf with some sweet powdery tonka bean. It performs fantastic. Very elegant. Compliment factor is pretty high on it. This is a damn good fragrance. A lot of you have already tried it. You already know that. But for those of you that have been skeptical to try it, never heard of it, or haven't tried it yet, so far, I've only tried 2 in the line. They're both great, Uomo and Uomo Silver Essence, but in my opinion, this one's the better one. Next, I'm going to get my hands on Deep Desire and try that one out. And then eventually I'll get La Note, or La Note. I'm not sure, the blue bottle. I'm going to probably get that one last. But next I want to get Deep Desire because it's the spicy one from what I can tell in the note breakdown. But on Monday, Roberto Cavalli Uomo Silver Essence, fantastic fragrance. And then when I got out the shower that night, wanted something nice and woody and aquatic, so I went with Penguin Ice Blue, another favorite of mine out the shower. This is gonna last so long because I only ever do with my out the shower fragrances. I go one behind the neck, one on each side, and then this is that rare time where I just shoot one in the front of my neck. I don't spray my chest, so it's always 4 sprays when I get out the shower, and because I just need to smell it for a little while because I'll be going to bed shortly, you know, within 2 or 3 hours after I get out the shower that night. So something that's weak performance, that's just fresh and pleasant. It's what I'm geared towards spraying. Something cheap I can just spray away on all week long. And Penguin Ice Blue absolutely falls into that. And that was my out the shower fragrance on Monday. Moving into Tuesday, I had actually put a little survey up in my Instagram story between this and Toomey Awaken. Which one should I wear the following day? And this is actually what won. It's Ed Hardy, Love and Luck. The classic vintage fragrance that's known to resemble Creed Millesime Imperial, and it's a great fragrance. There was a time when this was my signature scent. This was my go-to. This was my dumb reach. This is what I wore for just about everything. And the one thing I wore almost as much was Ed Hardy Hearts and Daggers, which just made sense to wear as my out the shower fragrance on that night. So I wore both of these Ed Hardy fragrances on Tuesday, and I gotta say I enjoyed it. I definitely refreshed with this and went pretty heavy both times. Very familiar, nostalgic scent for me. This is what I was wearing a lot when I first started dating my now wife. So this and Adidas Moves, that's the 2 nostalgia scents for me from that time period, as well as Hearts and Daggers, which I do have backup bottles of each of these because these I'm gonna need to have forever. They're very cheap. So during the day, Love and Luck, out the shower, Hearts and Daggers. Moving into Wednesday, this is actually new to the collection. It's a new release for this year. Actually has a counterpart. It's known as the morning get up fragrance, if you will, and then later in the evening to unwind, which it's aptly named Unwind. But the morning fragrance is aptly named Awaken from Toomey. Love the cap. It's a gimmick, don't get me wrong, but it's super cool. It actually does lock into place and hold that sucker really well, and the base on this is super thick. $100 price point. Oh, man, I just dig Awaken. I really do. It's a very green fragrance. You do get your citruses up top, but after a little while, it's dominated by that cypress note. Does perform pretty well too. It's designer. It's definitely not a natural niche smelling fragrance, but it's a good designer for sure. Performance is there. The designer level quality is there. It doesn't smell cheap. The price point isn't bad. You know, in that $100 range, I would say it'll be better when it hits discounters, if and when. I would think it would, because this is a luggage company. So it's definitely in the designer realm. New release for 2020. And like I said, this is my favorite. I know there's others that like Unwind more. I like Awaken more. And speaking of that, it's only right that out the shower that night, I went with Unwind. You know, this one's kind of all over the place. For having C notes and everything, I thought it was going to be, you know, real aquatic, real enjoyable. Man, that's exactly what I like out the shower. This is named right with the right note breakdown. It just smells a little different to me. You know, it's not bad, but I don't find it's great. I feel like Awaken is the better fragrance, in my opinion. If you're going to get one, get Awaken, but sample. Because I know Carlos, Brooklyn Fragrance Lover. I had commented on Steve, Fragrance Fanatic, my buddy. I had commented when he posted this as a scent of the day, how I love this one so much more, that this one's so much better than Unwind. Carlos commented he actually likes Unwind better, which this little brief story is a prime example of how everything's subjective and not everybody's going to like all the same things, because they're both good fragrances. I prefer this one. Turns out Carlos prefers Unwind. Shout out to you, Carlos and Steve. So definitely sample these, see if they're for you. I'll actually put a link down below if you want to check them out from the So Avante, I believe is the website that's selling them. And if you want to check them out. But I would definitely sample first, because like with everything, not every fragrance is for everyone. You may love them, you may hate them, but you won't know if you don't sample. Moving into Thursday, this is definitely one of my favorite releases from this year. I actually did a full review at work the other day, a little brief under 5-minute review. If you want to check it out, I'll put that video right there. It's from Cartier. It's my first in the Pasha line. It's Pasha de Cartier Parfum. I want to make sure you can see. Parfum. There we go. This stuff is awesome. Definitely mature. Very masculine. Very, very masculine. Very mature. I can't see too many young men liking this one, but then again, anybody can wear anything. You never know if you don't try it, but me personally, this is a beautiful, boozy sandalwood scent. It's got the benzoin that's in this, adds a resinous take, and it kind of gives that cola vibe, but not much. It's not heavy. It doesn't come off too vanillic. It definitely adds a resinous warmth with the fur balsam. It's beautiful. This is a beautiful fragrance. It's got that parfum aura of a scent bubble where it's consistent throughout, where you don't project too heavy in the beginning, but what you do get is noticeable, and then as it starts to get close to the skin, it kind of holds at a certain point where you have a nice scent bubble going, where people can smell you within a few feet when you walk by for several hours. You'll definitely be able to smell yourself easily with this one. It's not overbearing, it's just right. The type of sillage that I really enjoy. That's why I tend to lean towards the parfum concentrations from these designer houses, because they tend to fit my style and fit the scent profile and the projection that I really enjoy. And Pasha de Cartier Parfum absolutely fits that. And then out the shower that night was a classic favorite, one of my absolute favorites to spray out the shower. Nautical Voyage Sport. I say classic. It's not a classic scent all time for everybody, but for me and my weekly rotations, it's become a classic at this point because it's been featured so many times on my weekly rotations. I haven't worn it in several weeks. I was due. Man, I love the way this thing smells. Generic, cheap aquatic, sure. But I think that's why I like it. It's just an easy wear. It smells fresh and clean. It's perfect out of a shower. And that was my choice that night. Nautical Voyage Sport. Moving into Friday, I've been seeing a lot of mixed feelings about this fragrance. Some people still feel this way about the Eau de Parfum that they felt about the Eau de Toilette. And me, I like the Eau de Toilette. I like the Eau de Parfum even more. Dolce & Gabbana K, the EDP, newest release from this year. I like it, but I like juniper berries. You gotta like juniper berry heavy fragrances, because this is all of that and then some. It's juniper heavy. I've heard people say it smells like Tresemme and hairspray and all these different things. You know who you are. I could see where people could come up with that conclusion, but it's definitely another one of those that you definitely need to sample. This is not a blind buy worthy fragrance, because there's a lot of people that are skeptical because of the ratings and the reviews all over the place. Written reviews, video reviews like this. Definitely sample, 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 sample. It's a Dolce & Gabbana fragrance, so it's going to be at all your major retailers. You'll be able to check it out at the department store fragrance counters. Test this one out first. You may love it. You may despise it. Who knows? I actually think it's a really good release, a really good fragrance. It made my fall designer list. I got it 2 days before I made that video. I wore it the next day. I did some testing the night I got it. I'm digging it. I'm definitely going to be reaching for it this fall. I think it's a great fragrance for this time of year. And that's Dolce & Gabbana K, the EDP. And then out the shower that night, this is another one I have not wore out the shower in quite a while. It's from Ferrari. It's actually the only Ferrari fragrance I have. Scuderia Racing Red. Metallic note. A little fresh, spicy. Smells great. Good casual fragrance. I like to wear it out the shower when I want to mix it up from the citrus aromatics, the aquatic fragrances that I normally spray out the shower. This just switches it up a little bit because it performs about as well as these nautical fragrances and penguin fragrances that I like to wear out the shower. I only get about 3 to 4 hours out of this, and then it needs to be refreshed. Cheap, good to spray. You don't need to spray too heavy. You know, it projects decently for the first hour on your skin, then it sits pretty close to the skin. Spray it one more time. Big wide mist atomizer. It's a solid fragrance. I paid $17 on clearance at Marshall's a while back, like 2 years ago. You know, it's a big 4.2 ounce bottle. Absolutely worth the $17 for a casual scent. If you want to wear it to work and you don't mind refreshing, or like I like to use it for, fresh out the shower. Then finally on Saturday, on game day, this is one that I did a video on with Steve, Fragrance Fanatic, actually at his house the first time I went to his house. I'll put that video right here if you want to check it out. So this is part of Zaharoff's history that wasn't really supposed to see the light of day. This is one of the ill-fated attempts to come up with another fragrance to follow up the original Zaharoff Pour Homme back from 2000. This is circa 2009, if I remember correctly. It's the rejected Zaharoff Pour Homme fragrance. It's just a standard stock bottle, cheap little stock cap and atomizer. It smells like a synthetic clone of Zaharoff Pour Homme. For those of you that have ever smelled Zaharoff Pour Homme, you smell the DNA from the lavender and the myrrh that's in Signature. You can tell they were going the route of getting to Signature Pour Homme, but this is, I get why it never came out. It's not bad, but it's very, very synthetic. And for those of you that have smelled Zaharoff Signature Pour Homme and you understand the quality of that fragrance, this is not near the quality of that fragrance. This was, you know, they tried forcing this. No, George, this is the way the industry's going. They're going with these aroma molecules, and it's all about synthetics now, and you'll get a higher profit margin. And those of you that know who George Zaharoff is and know anything about him know it's about quality. This is not quality, but it's still a cool artifact to have, and it don't smell that bad. And am I going to wear it again? I may never. But I just wanted to wear it. It just felt right Saturday for some reason. I sprayed it heavy. I refreshed it. Don't smell bad if you don't mind synthetics and aroma chemicals. They really don't. It's the synthetic version of Zaharoff. It's different. You know, it was just something to wear. Performance wasn't that bad either. I got about 6 hours till I had to refresh. And then out the shower that night. This is the last 2020 release of the new year. It was a Kohl's exclusive. As far as I know, you still can't get it anywhere else but from Kohl's, unless you can catch it on eBay or Amazon or something like that. But it's from Nautica. Midnight Voyage. Pretty nice to have this one. This kind of smells like if Nautica Voyage and Sauvage had a baby. Because it's got that ambroxan kind of smell to it. It doesn't smell exactly like Sauvage. That's not what I'm saying. It's not redundant if you have Sauvage to get this. It smells like a mixture of the two. It smells really good. Decent performance, you know, 4 or 5 hour fragrance. Hour projection, hour and a half. Not real heavy. Kind of arm's length. Spray it one more time. These Nautica Voyage fragrances have terrible, terrible atomizers. But it was finally time to get it. I love the dark blue juice with that dark blue metallic painted cap, you know. It's a nice transition for the Nautica Voyage line. I love the Nautica Voyage line. I don't have all of them. I don't have Sunset Voyage and stuff like that, the discontinued, hard to get, overpriced ones. But I have the majority of them, and this was a nice addition to get for the collection, and it was great to wear out of the shower. And I'll probably wear it on my day off upcoming later this week. And out the shower, new release for Nautica from 2020, Midnight Voyage. Well, guys, that was the rotation for week number 42. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. Any of you wear the same fragrances I wore this week? Definitely enjoyed smelling myself, as I always do. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't always enjoy what I'm wearing, because I do. I just love fragrances, and definitely enjoyed wearing all of these. Took a trip down memory lane with some of them, like the Ed Hardys and the vintage Nautica aftershaves and stuff like that, and then really got to enjoy and experience some of the new releases that 2020's had to offer so far. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of the fragrances discussed here today and you give them a spray now, there's a chance you might thank me later. Have a good one, guys.